Hi, welcome to Summery Pea. My name's Sue and I love sharing recipes and ideas, what I like to eat. This one is my not too sweet spelt flour cherry pie. It's so delicious. I think the texture is like melt in your mouth, and my cherry pie filling is not too sweet. So if you'd like to see how I make my cherry pie, come with me and let's see. Before I started filming, I've made the pastry in another video. So if you want to see how to make the pastry, click here above. But now the next step is I'll show you how I roll it out and add the filling. So this is the pastry that was slightly bigger than the other one. So I'm just going to roll it out. Now with spelt, you will find that it can crack. And I don't like adding too much water to my dough because then it doesn't really have a nice consistency. So you just need to be gentle with it. And I'll show you how to repair it if it cracks too much for you. And my pie dish I like is this one that lifts out. It always comes out perfect. We've got a nice fluted edge. But if you've got a regular pie dish, that's fine. I've just greased that a little bit with butter. So that's an 8-inch. So I'm going to roll this out to be more than 8 inches, about 9 to 10. And that's why I like using this pastry mat, because I can see what I'm doing. So because I'm doing it for the base, I think 10 is probably going to be better. If you wanted to have a measurement, it's probably the size, or the thickness rather, of a coin. So you don't want it too thick and you don't want it too thin. Okay, we've got that little crack there. So I'm just going to try and push that together. About all I want to roll out today. So what I do is I roll it back on my rolling pin. Bring my pie dish closer. Then in one go I try and lift it up so I can get that in the middle. And then I just press it into the side of this fluted edge. I'll leave that long so I can add the top to that. I've got a little bit of a hole here, so I'm just going to grab that bit that fell off and patch it up. Pastry is really forgiving. You think, oh no, it doesn't look perfect, but trust me, it's more about the flavour than the form, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. I'm not by any means an expert. I'm still quite a novice at making pies. Okay, so that's quite good. And then we've got the top to do, but I'm going to do my filling first. So I'm going to start making the cherry pie filling. I've had my cherries, I use frozen cherries because it's readily available here, and they've been defrosting in the fridge, and I've got 2 packets, so that was about 450 grams. And what I do to add extra substance or flavour to my pie filling, I add a grated apple. So first step is I'm going to just drain off the juice. So we're going to heat those cherries up. Into that I'm going to add half of lemon zest. And that just gives it a really nice tang, and I love the balance of the lemon with the cherries. And I'm going to add in a grated apple. And I like just doing it on this one because it's a bit finer, and I'm doing skin and all. If you don't have a microplane grater, you can just grate it with a normal grater. I find the grated apple blends better than doing finely chopped apple. I think I'm just going to exchange it to a normal grater. This is taking far too long and I want to quicken it up for the video. That was so much quicker. I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place. Okay, so if you're doing this at home, just grab your normal grater. Now, my original recipe that I was doing did 100 grams of sugar. I don't want to have that much sugar today, so I'm going to do about 1/4 cup. I'm just going to measure it. I'm trying to have less sugar, and I don't think it needs that much sugar. Okay, so that's 55 grams. Originally I was putting in 100, so I'm just going to take about 5 out of that. 50 grams. That's perfect. I'm going to add that to my cherry mix. So because I had some cherry juice left over when I drained the frozen ones, I'm going to add some cornflour to that to thicken it up to make my cherry mixture a little bit thick, so the pie filling is thicker. So I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of corn flour. And if you've run out, if you don't have any juice left over, you can add a little bit of water. I'm just going to mix that up. I'm going to stir this so my sugar dissolves. Whoops, I need the handle, Sue. You can do your cherry pie filling a day or 2 ahead of time, so it's sitting in the fridge waiting. And sometimes that's easier when you're making a pie, so you don't have to do the whole process in one day. Just going to turn that up a bit. So I'm going to boil it on about, this is a medium temperature for about 5 minutes, get that sugar dissolved, and then I'm going to take it off the heat and add the corn flour. So that's bubbling away nicely. I'll just turn that down a little bit. Hasn't been 5 minutes, but that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to turn that heat off, or just turn it really low. I'm going to add this corn flour mixture and just let it sit here on low until this gets thick. So I'm about to roll out the top, but just before I do that, I'm going to pop this in the refrigerator because it's now getting a bit soft. So I'm just going to brush, I've got an egg here, and I'm just going to brush some egg wash to the base. And I'm just going to chill this for about 10 minutes while I'm rolling out the top. So now it's time to roll out the top. I've got my pastry there. It's very soft because it's been sitting out. Add a bit of flour to my rolling pin. And again, my dish is 8 inches, so I'll just go a little bit bigger than 8 inches. Just got my pie filling or pie base back out of the fridge. And here's my cherry pie filling that I made earlier, ahead of time. And then I'm just going to place all that back in. Adding the egg wash to the base helps have a nice crisp base so it doesn't go soggy. From my experience, that's what I've found works best. So I ended up adding a little bit more cherry to my filling. So I'll adjust my notes. I needed 650 grams of cherries. I just mixed through the frozen ones and they were fine. So I'm going to roll that onto my rolling pin. Roll it back over the top of this pie. I'm just going to crimp those edges together. And the edge of this pie dish actually creates the seal. And I've got my tin on a tray because it just helps me get it in and out of the oven easier. And you can save this dough to make into something else. We have got a few little funny bits here, but I'm not going to try and bring it together. But I'm going to grab a sharp knife and just make some cuts into it. So about 4 cuts. And this will help release some of the air when the pie is cooking. I'm going to brush it with the egg wash generously. This is optional, but I like to add a little teaspoon of sugar. I'm going to chill this in my fridge for 30 minutes before I start baking it. Now I'm going to bake the cherry pie, and I've had my oven heating at 200 degrees C with a fan. I'm going to bake it on 200 for 20 minutes, and then I'm going to drop it back to 180 and cook it for a further 20 minutes. Can't wait to show you. So I've had my pie cooling on the bench for a couple of hours. So I've removed it from the tray or the tin. I'm just going to cut into it so I can show you what it looks like. And how about I test some of it? Look at that. It actually looks really good. My filling turned out perfect. I think adding the extra cherries was spot on. It was kind of an intuitive thing. And let me just bite into it. Melt in your mouth goodness. This pie crust is so good. Look, my finish isn't perfect. I still need to perfect the top. It doesn't look like, you know, a Michelin star chef, but it tastes fantastic. And I'm all about taste over beauty. Let me know in the comments below if you give it a go. It's actually worth the process, but maybe do it over a couple of days so you don't have to do it all on one day. Thanks for watching how to make my cherry pie. Hit the thumbs up if you like this recipe, and very soon I'll perfect the apple pie filling so then you can do an apple pie version of this recipe. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Hej då from Sweden. Yum, yum, yum.